I'm Sarah Lovell, and I am currently a part-time Web3 student at Western Kentucky University. And for my cognitive linguistic disorders class, I've made this on-call notebook that I'm going to go through with you today. The first thing that I have is just something stating here that this on-call notebook is a resource for speech-language pathologists working with individuals with cognitive impairments. The contents of this notebook are appropriate for anyone who might benefit from therapy, so the materials selected, they don't discriminate against culture, race, religion, or socioeconomic status. All activities selected are not targeted toward any specific population of people. The first section that I have in here is memory, and the evaluation that I selected for memory is the SLUMS examination. And then my activities start, and I have more than 10 activities in each one, so I'll try to go through them kind of quickly. I wanted this to be ready to go and good to use with a plethora of resources. So the first thing that I have to target memory is orientation to past and present events, and this is not in any specific order or anything. The next thing I have is immediate memory for 3-word sequences. Sorry if you can't see this very well. Immediate memory for 5-word sequences, and I have general information questions. And then I have some for food and drink. I have paired words that are associated, chaining word lists that are associated, word list retention, like category inclusion, immediate memory for 3-digit sequences. This is something that I marked in my notebook as being a lower level cognitive task, because you're just naming three numbers like 404 and having the patient say that back to you. I have word list retention, functional memory continue. I have paragraph facts, mental manipulations, and there's several mental manipulation things. I'm remembering sentences, retention of a paragraph, and then my next section that I have is attention. And the evaluation that I chose for attention is the cognitive linguistic quick test, and this actually covers a lot of different areas, and so does the SLUMS, but one area that it does cover in depth is attention, and so that's why I chose this, and I'm just going to kind of skip through that test. So I have several attention activities in here. One of them is deciphering, so it has this code. You decode the quotation from the symbols. I have just some addition problems, which I marked as another activity that could be appropriate for lower level functioning individuals. It's just simple addition. I also have subtraction and multiplication, mixed math problems. I have some search out the words, so the word searches in here, and then I have one that's a little bit bigger, and you locate cities. This one is a crossword puzzle. This one is just following written and oral directions, like shade in the square or something like that. More crossword puzzles. Like I said, this isn't in any specific order. This one is seeking out the words, so locating the words within the puzzle. Visual scanning, mark all the E's, mark all the S's. The next tab that I have is orientation. The evaluation assessment that I chose is the Galveston Orientation and Amnesia Test. That specifically tests orientation, what's your name, where are you born, where do you live, things like that. The first thing that I have here, the activity I have, is a client questionnaire. it goes over several different things. Name people that they know, friends, home environment, what they like to do for fun, foods they like, hobbies, special memories, things like that. The next thing I have is temporal orientation skills. I also marked this one as something that might be more appropriate for individuals that are lower cognitive functioning, because they're all yes/no questions, so they should be fairly simple for most people to answer. Is it morning time now? Is today Monday? And depending on the person, it might not be easy, but I felt like compared to some of the others, it was an easier activity. I have some more, these are multiple choice temporal orientation skills. So I'm sorry, I'm trying to go really fast through these, so it's under 10 minutes. This one's kind of a layout of a hospital, and you answer some questions about it, some orientation questions. This one is an orientation to past and present events. Like which of the following was a famous football player, stuff like that, which might be difficult for some. But the next one that I have is executive functions and problem solving. The assessment that I chose for that is the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, which is also called the MOCA for short. And it does have different categories in here as well, but one of them is visuospatial and executive functioning. And the first thing I have here is just some math equations and the answers. And this next one is math equations with coded shapes. So if a square and a square equals 10, a square plus a square equals 10, then you're trying to figure out what the square equals numerically. And then I have, this is called the turning point. And so you're trying to figure out which direction the gears are moving in. So that might be kind of fun. That's the answers. And then I have, these are secret files. And so you're trying to figure out what the categories are and based on their similarities. And so you'll label each category based on the files that it holds. So this is like clothes, overalls, waistcoat, underskirt, cardigan, things like that. These are category members, abstract. So this is like things that can fly, things that are hot, things that are big. I marked this as an easier one. I felt like compared to some of the others, someone who has lower cognitive functioning would be able to complete something like this fairly easily, depending on their abilities. Category members, concrete, so like a state that begins with A. These are just some more concrete categories, category that each of these belong to, like red, purple, orange, they're all colors. The wrong category, which ones do they not belong to? Stating logical conclusions for each problem, so giving a scenario and coming up with a problem or a solution for the problem. This one I thought was kind of cool. It's a money management task, and it has different receipts, and you're working on some money management, which is very functional for some of our patients. Problem solving, this is answering questions like what would you do if your car had a flat tire, things like that. This one's targeting similarities and differences between different objects like summer, spring, they're both seasons. And the next one is constant characteristics. So a tree always or night always. This one is inferences about paragraphs. You read a paragraph and decide if the statements are true or false or unknown. I have a deduction puzzle in here. My next, I believe that is my last category, is visuospatial. The assessment that I chose for this one is the Burns, It's the brief inventory of communication and cognition. It's the right hemisphere inventory. So this looks at scanning and tracking, visuospatial skills, and prosody and abstract language. So I'm going to skip through all of that. This first activity was one that I found that was kind of neat. It looks at a bunch of different males' faces with their names below them, and then after studying them for 1 to 5 minutes, study them for 30 to 60 seconds. You just answer some questions about them. You match the name to the face on this one. And this one you actually write their name in. And these are the visual spatial memory questions based off of the pictures that were from earlier. Did Jonathan have curly hair? Was Michael smiling? Things like that. This one is locating items. Looking for the different shapes. This one is also locating items. These are embedded shapes. Embedded shapes again. Like I said, I tried to have several so that I would have plenty of resources. This one is visual sequencing. This one's figural sequencing. And that's one factor, and then I have ones with 2 factors. This one is figural analogies, 1 factor and 2 factor. This one is differences between pictures. Some more differences between pictures. This one is connecting the dots, alphabetical. The next one is mirror images, so you're just drawing in the mirror image. Closure of shapes, so you're picking the one that best matches, that will close the shape. More connecting the dots. This one's numerical, so I marked it as something that might be a little bit easier for lower level cognitive functioning. So you're just basically going from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 and connecting the dots. These are more connecting the dots. This one's alternating. This one's integration. More locating of the items. And that is all of my activities. The next part of my binder. Okay, sorry about that. I had to pause for a second because my husband walked in. This next section of my on-call notebook is over my research articles. And my first research article that I found, which my research articles are over cognitive linguistic disorders and prevention of those disorders, particularly Alzheimer's disease and dementia. The first article talks about nutritional interventions for Alzheimer's and prevention. It's a clinical precision medicine approach. So it just reviews existing nutritional modalities for Alzheimer's prevention that act through the improvement of insulin resistance, correction of dyslipidemia, and reduction of oxidative stress, and they discuss how they may be modified on the basis of individual biomarkers, genetics, and behaviors. And it reports preliminary results of clinical application and over personalized interventions of the first Alzheimer's disease prevention clinic. The next one that I found is over the role of omega-3 fatty acids in the prevention of Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease in the early stages of disease presentation. The third one that I found is over, I thought this was really interesting, but the progress of essential oils in prevention and treatment of Alzheimer's disease. I thought that was pretty interesting. The next one they found is a research article over Alzheimer's disease prevention from risk factors to early intervention. And then the last one that I found is over the evaluation of dementia prevention classes for community dwelling older adults with mild cognitive impairment. And so that is the end of my on-call notebook. I feel like I speeded through that really fast because I wanted to keep it under 10 minutes, but I don't think that I let that happen. So Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you back in class.